Hello, and welcome to the Book Over, our little book club where we chat about books, especially ones that leave us with those book hangovers. Today's podcast is about Fake It Till You Break It by Meagan Brandy. It is a standalone fake relationship romance. I personally adore this story. So gather your thoughts, get your hair of the book ready, and let's get this book over started. I'm Sarah, and this is
Megan, hi.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Book Over. Today, we're going to talk about Fake It Till You Break It by Meagan Brandy.
Which is not a gymnast book.
It's not a gymnast book like Megan thought it was. Judging a cover and having your own ideas in your head. So we're going to start first with our spoiler alert. We read the book. If you have not, you are more than welcome to listen to us, but we will be talking about the book. So anything that happens in it, it might be a spoiler to you. If you're okay with that, listen. If not, wait and listen to us later. And I don't even think there was any triggers in this one. It's a standalone. It's a
little other women, would you even say it's other women drama?
Yeah, he is a little man whore about some stuff. So
in the beginning, there's like a little voyeurism.
Yeah. Yes, which we will talk about maybe.
Other than that, yeah.
But we're gonna start with giving you the blurb. So the blurb says, fake. That's what we are. That's what we agreed to be. So why does it feel so real? I thought it would have been harder convincing everyone our school's star receiver was mine and mine alone, but I was wrong. We played our part so well that the lines between us began to blur until they disappeared completely. The thing about pretending, though, someone's always better at it. And by the time I realized my mistake, there was no going back. I fell for our lie, and then everything fell apart. It turned out he and I were never playing the same game. He didn't have to break me to win, but he did anyway. I thought that was a really good blurb on this story, and I felt like the book was a little angsty, and on both of their ends. It is a little frustrating too with me a little bit on their communication, and sometimes I just am like, if you would just communicate. But I'm like, they're in high school, right? And for her, this is like her first relationship, even though it's fake. And for him, it's, basically he's wanted to be with her. We don't know that for a really long time until it's, I think he hints at it throughout the book a few times, but
and they kind of make it seem like there's a reason he like wasn't around her, and you're like, what's that reason? So yeah, I will say that the blurb, it's a good blurb, but I think it at first made me a little apprehensive about starting it. Like for me, I know you've read it before. This was my first read. This was a reread for you. I think the blurb kind of confused me. I thought that maybe she was going to be more for it, but it turned out he was more for it. Like he wanted the fake relationship because he was into her.
Yeah.
And I didn't think that's what that was going to be. So I really liked that about this book, because I liked that it wasn't, oh, she's into him and he's playing hard to get. I like that it was like him being into her and not knowing how else to like be with her.
Yeah. He didn't know how to make it happen. And I like that. What I liked about this book is just like both of them and their loneliness really got to me. Like he's popular. He's, the star receiver on the football team, and she's, a good student. She has her friend group. She's into, her hip hop dancing. But like their home lives absolutely suck. And the drama, and she had her friends, and she'd have them come over when she was alone, which was like all the time. And he has Trent and stuff, but like there's something about connecting to somebody who kind of gets it on a deeper level. And just those times where like they would look at each other and like they would just in their heads even think like, I don't want to talk, let's just be. That stuff really got to me. And that's what I really loved about them, was that they, even when they were fake, they were getting that what they needed. And I love those, enemies to lovers, or the fake relationships where like, and yeah, she was tricked into it. He played her into doing this, but he, in a way, it's like, I see it, I'm a romantic. So I'm like, he's doing it to save her from like getting under Alex, right? Alex is gonna
Yeah.
like just use her if he finds out that Nico, and so I kind of like that he's kind of trying to save her, but also kind of trying to get what he wants. But I love that at the end, he's like, no matter what, you were going to be mine. It's just getting there. That's like the whole book was just getting there and the angst of it. And like, I love that weekend at the beach. The only thing is like, some of those scenes where they're like pretending and he's like behind her hugging her, that's just like book boyfriend dreams right there.
On the boardwalk, riding the rides. See, that felt real to me though. It felt like he felt, I loved his points of his POV chapters, because in those POV chapters I felt like he was not pretending. Like that was him being like, I'm gonna like act like I'm pretending, but like I'm gonna show you how good it is with me, and then you're gonna fall for me. Like I feel like that was his intention all along. So, and I feel like she even felt it too, and I think that's what made the fake relationship better for me, was that he was just so confident in that, like he really did want her.
Yeah,
and it was, I think he knew it was a smoke screen.
Yeah. Well, and then there was even parts of like Trent was his best friends, questioning him on this stuff, because Trent knew that he had a crush on her up until a certain point, and Trent's questioning him on it, and he's like, well, Trent's gonna figure out like this is real, she just doesn't know it yet, and there's even parts where she's like, why, like when Alex invited her from the beach weekend to like drive her home, and she's like, it doesn't quite feel right, like she already is getting that instinct that like it doesn't feel right to go off of Alex, even though that's like the whole pretense of her doing this is to get Alex's attention. She's getting these feelings. She's learning a little bit more about Nico. They used to know each other, and then he kind of cut himself off from her. But you find out later it was just to protect her. And I just I love that he understands her enough. He's been watching her, which, okay, that sounds so creepy, but like when he took her up to that top of the building during their little like chemistry lesson thing, and she saw that like it looked over to where she would practice dancing, I'm just like, there's just so many hints thrown into this book that I love, that just kind of showed like if she was really paying attention, she would have really seen how much he cared for her. Yeah. And I know, like, obviously by the end, she gets that. But I love those little details. There's even like a point where like he's listening to something about her mom, and he was like, what her mom fails to realize is being perfect and being perfect for Demi are two very different things. Like her mom doesn't know her, doesn't care about her. It's a really hard relationship, but he knows, like he's been watching her and really like in love with her for so long that but yeah, so what really gets me though about Meek, and I love that she calls him Meek, is like how much of a man whore he was being. Especially like, okay, and like when I read high school romances, a lot of times in my head I switch them to college, because like it's just,
yeah, you gotta age them up. You
gotta age them up. And so, but I'm like, what? It's like, okay, if you're in love with Demi, why are you sleeping with all these people who are somehow connected to her too? Like her dance instructor, and then he's like, well, one time over the summer. Well, yeah, but now it set off all this drama for Demi. So what were you thinking, dickhead? Like, I'm sorry, like, what were you thinking? And then like Sandra, but okay, so Boyer, like that, I don't know, like the scene of her watching them in the hot tub, and then him watching her in the hot tub, I was like, those were good scenes. Those were really, they brought like the steam up for this book. It could have.
Like, oh, okay. That was early on, where she was watching him in the hot tub, and they make them meet eye contact.
Yeah, like she's like, I don't think he can say, but like he knew, and that's the thing, like he could feel her presence, and he knew. But I'm like, so, it's so weird to me, like that, like casualness he has with that, with having sex with a bunch of people while you're infatuated with somebody else. That's hard for me. But I mean, I'm a girl, maybe, I think that's just how it is. But like, you know, and then that takes me to like, you know, there's a part in it when all the shit happened with Trent, when we find out that, you know, Trent and
Yeah.
Demi, you know, slept together twice sophomore year,
Right.
figuring things out, you know, and like and he's his best friend. So she assumed, you know, all along that Trent's told him, you know, like, why not? And stuff. And then like how Meek just flies off the handle about. And what bothers me is like they already told each other, he says, I don't want to be fake anymore. I want this to be real. And then so they're real for what, a day? And then this explodes. And then he's like done with her. And I get it. Some people do that, you know, they just need time and whatever. And I'm happy that she kept up, but it literally just like the angst of it, that just it but I love her friend when he called Krista to talk to her, and she's like, well, Nick, how many people have you slept with? You know, how do you think Demi feels? Like, it's like, yeah, how do you think you're judging her on this 2 times she's ever done it? And how many have you done? And it's like, come on. And like in front of her, literally.
Yes, and with people in her life. So it was definitely a double standard. Yes, it was his best friend. He should be mad at his best friend who knew that he had like a crush on her. She didn't know that he had a crush on her. He, you know, just didn't talk to her. He kind of, they even said early on in the book, he kind of, whenever she was around, he would like go walk away from her. So he can't be mad at her for having a past with his friend when he was like ignoring her. And then, like you said, he was a man whore. So it was definitely a double standard. But I do feel like that's pretty typical of dudes. It's typical of dudes.
Right. I mean, yeah, it really is a typical dude thing, and a double standard thing too, I think, a little bit. And you know what I love though is because I was worried, because I forgot, it's been a while since I read this book, and so rereading it, I was really worried. I couldn't remember. I knew Krista was upset when that happened. I couldn't remember if she knew or if she was just finding out. But the fact that like, you know, she knew, like Demi told her right after it happened, you know, so it's like, I like that too. Like Demi's like, well, I told my friends, you know, like they know this happened, you know, it's like, that's between you and Trent. And I think it's dudes being dudes. And I love, you know, Trent really messed up a lot of times because he interfered, you know, like trying to change partners and for the dancing and stuff. And I think he was trying to do the right thing, but he really should have just like stepped back. And I think that he should have.
And then the moms were pushing them together. So it was like, it was strange.
Yeah. And the one thing too, like about her mom was like driving me crazy, just her neglect and her using her money and stuff. And like how the dad like knew and like.
And then just like brushed
over it, but then eventually offered to like set up something separate for Demi. I love that. But like what I feel like I liked the end of the book. I liked how they end up together. I love like that they're graduating and she has the promise ring, which in a way doesn't feel completely Meek to me, but I like that really just means that they're going to be together. They're going to stay together. They're going to make it through. They found the person, which I love. But like and I love that like her mom is helping his mom out and her dad's helping his mom out. I love all that. But like, I am such a grudge holder that part of me is like, can you like rip into your mom? Like she needs to feel the pain that she's caused you because she has been absent. You've been absolutely alone. But honestly, like, I mean, it's fine, but I just wish like I got a good confrontation scene. Like I love that she said no about the pill, about, you know, don't give me another one of those for like Ritalin or whatever it was, you know, like I love that she stood up for herself finally on that end, but I just would have loved like a really good
conference. Well, it was needed and deserved after all of that. Well, and that's the thing about standalones. Unfortunately, I feel like you don't get to explore every avenue, unfortunately.
You kind of run out of time on that. Yeah. But okay, so you know, we've talked about how I love like secondary characters and stuff. So one thing I do have to say, her friend group, I had to sometimes when I level age up people, I forget their age. So like sometimes I had to remind myself that they're high school students. So like some of their teasing and stuff bothered me. I'm like, you're cock blocking, let them figure this out, you know, but like I kind of liked it because it made them high schoolers. You know, that's what high schoolers are going to say certain things and goof around and annoy each other's. And like ultimately, like I loved her friend group because they were just so supportive, right? Like as soon as one of them needed somebody, they were there. And I love that about them. But also there's one character that I really love, and he's in it a couple of times. And I'm really hoping that like Meagan Brandy does like a spin-off short story or something for him, was Thompson. So he's the guy, he's around a couple of times, but basically when like the shit hits the fan at that like all-nighter, Thompson kind of witnessed it happening. He's the one that goes and gets Demi. And then he's the one that kind of holds Krista back. And then he's the one that kind of steps in. And then, you know, and so at first you're like kind of intrigued because he's like there, he's witnessing stuff, but he's not overbearing. He's not doing anything wrong. He's just like a good guy. And then he's at the end of it too. So like, you know, they're going on the football game for their little intro thing for senior night. And, you know, I love the, you know, Neek's off to the side, and it just basically like how Thompson steps in the dance with like, he's there with Demi. Like, you know, he goes, he helps like take off the jacket or something and then walks away. And like, I love that, like, or was it practice? He did something. There was a couple of times where he just stepped up and he's like, I got you, girl. And he like takes care of it. And there was just something about Thompson. I just loved him. And that's one of my problems is I fall for these like background characters all the time where like they just intrigue me. There's like Carrie Aarons wrote like this baseball series. Mm-hmm. And there was like a background character there that I even like emailed her and I was like, can you please write Devin's story? I believe his name is Devin. And I'm like, I need his story because he's in like every book. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, I need his story. And she's like, I don't know. And then eventually she wrote a novella on him. And I'm like, thank you. Like, and I just, because I fall for these guys, or, you know, like we've talked about in other books too. So like, I don't know, Thompson I love, and he's you could forget him too very easily. Like you were like, who's this guy?
It took me a second, and then I was like, oh, yeah, but maybe I think that, you know, I think maybe authors do plant little characters in there and to see how readers react to, and maybe to mm-hmm. develop them later. So that would be interesting. I didn't even think of that until you said that, but you know what? You're right. That would be cool to see, because we like everyone else's kind of storyline got wrapped up, but that would be interesting.
Yeah, I would like, so if Meagan Brandy's listening, please write a short story for Thompson for me. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, I did like about this book, you know, we say age it up, but it did have a very high school, you know, premise where they're paired in science class. I feel like that's a very high schooly kind of thing. I like at the end we find out why, because they question it. Like she questions like, why we travel in the same circles, why did we get, you know, paired together? Mm-hmm. But and he seems so resistant at first. You know, it takes a very long time for us to get to his POV. At first I thought this was a book with just her POV, and then right when I was kind of getting frustrated, boom, we get his POV, and I was like, okay, yay. So I liked how Meagan Brandy did that. How at first it didn't seem like it was going to be multiple POV, and then right when I needed it, mm-hmm. it came.
Yeah.
But at first I was like, oh, is this that believable that a teacher would put that much effort into it? And then it took me a minute, and I'm like, you know what? Suspend disbelief. Think about all those high school movies you love and all those tropes. How many high school movies have like a similar kind of like setup / trope? So once I was able to do that, I was able to get more into the whole premise of their lab partners being forced together. Mm-hmm. And the fake relationship didn't even happen until like pretty far into the book too, mm-hmm. Which I liked.
Yeah, so, I liked it. Yeah. And I love how frustrated we're getting with Nico. You know, we can feel her frustration on why she's like, dude, like, let's just do this work. And he's like, she's, you know, and how the teacher's helping her out and be like, you know, be in class next time. And they do the football field thing. Like, I love that. And I love that. So at the epilogue, we find out that Nico requested to be Demi's partner. Mm-hmm. And I absolutely love that. Not only because Mr. Brando, you know, did that for him, you know, like, so I even highlighted it because it was like, I loved it because Mr. Brando goes, imagine if I denied your request to be your partner, Mr. Sykes. And I was just like, I love that so much that he saw that. I had a high school teacher that was amazing, and I had a crush on my husband, and so like, and he had the same world history class as me, but a different period. And so he had it beforehand, and I wouldn't see him until recess break. And so I would go to my third period, class, and he would tell me if he was there or not, because I would want to know if he was in class. So it's like, and I just love that, because he was like, one day I was like kind of sneaking a peek at the attendance sheet, and he's like, "Who are you looking for?" And I'm like, "Oh, Brian." And so he knew, it was just really, I love that, like, sophomore year me, and he, like, that's awesome for a teacher to like actually like, every day would be like, "He's here today." It's like, thanks, like that was just like super sweet. And so like when I hear like teachers who aren't like complete a-holes that are like, doing that. And I think that was really good for Demi too, because she was always partners with Alex. She didn't want to out, and she needed to. And I love that, like, she found out all that crap about him and his dad and all that stuff. And
that twist about the stepbrothers, like, what? I honestly didn't see that coming, and that was nice. It's nice to be shocked in a book. But that doesn't happen for me a lot when it comes to MF. So I really enjoyed that. Yeah.
I liked what I really liked about this book was the angst of it. I love feeling those emotions, and then especially like when stuff starts going wrong, and the heartache of it, and the twist, when she finds out all that stuff. And then of course, like when he's like, we finally make up, it's like, yes, thank you. And I felt good about the ending of it. Like I know we talked about like epilogue, like wanting more of the couple together, but I think we got so much of them in their fake relationship that we know how their real relationship's going to be. So
I enjoyed that. Like I needed that. That's one, like, again, with I'm very picky with the standalone MF, and the fact that in the fake relationship they had these good times, they had the carnival, they had I really liked that we got to like live in that, and he was so confident in it and kind of pushing it. So I feel like it needed to have, for me, for an MF, it has to have something different, and I like that. I like the fake relationship aspect. I like that he was the one pushing it and he was really into her. And I like that we got these happy moments.
Yeah.
So that was what was for me.
Yeah.
And the reason, like, why did he push her away? That kind of mystery. So
yeah, I love books like that where, I love the ones where like they used to be like childhood friends, and then something happened and then they're not anymore. And she's like, "I don't get it," or "Screw you." And then you find out like more. And I just, it's a good, I really love that. And I also like, I have a couple of quotes that I just like absolutely loved. I feel like it was like written well on that part. Like, but there's even scenes like when they get together at one point, she says like, "For reals, not for fakes, for keeps, not for now." Like I feel like that's something you could totally put in like wedding vows, like, but probably not, because obviously you're not going to get married for fakes, but but like I love like those things. And
well, I do too. I think because we all have kind of those fantasies when we're young, and we liked guys, and that happens, like friendships fade, especially like when you go through puberty and you have like guy friends, and then you get older and you might separate. So it's kind of nice to live those fantasies that you had when you were young, of like getting together with a friend, like your next door neighbor or your best friend, and kind of live vicariously through those books. So personally, I had like guy friends growing up, and then we transitioned when we got older and kind of grew apart. And I always fantasized later about coming back to them. So it's like, I do love that kind of trope. So wait, so question, did you marry your high school sweetheart?
I did. Well, okay, not really. We became best friends in high school. So I had a crush on him, major crush on him. And then he was like, "I don't really want to date." And so I actually, that was really hard for me. And I decided though that he was such an amazing person that no matter what, I wanted him in my life. So we became friends, and I was like, I just put up with being his friend. And then I had my whole like group of guy friends, and we were all just like friends, and he was one of my best friends. And then we started dating right after high school graduation.
Okay. So he was your high school friend turned into your like post grad.
Yeah. So, and I'm always so thankful for it. Like, just, gosh, there was times where I was like, not me. I am a shy person. And, like freshman year, I had my crush started on him. I remember the first time I saw him, like, and I still, like, it was lust at first sight. Like, I saw him and I remember I was talking to my friend at a locker and I was like, who's that? Like, it was literally, I remember going like, ooh, who is that? Like, I thought he was cute. I thought he was hot. I loved talking to him on the phone because his voice was so deep, like, so, and I actually was the first to approach him freshman year. We had a couple of classes together and he was just like, quiet. And I went up to him like, hey, you're in my ceramics class, I'm just happy that like, I actually was brave enough to like do that, because who knows? And I'm actually really happy that he was honest and turned me down sophomore year and was like, I don't want to date. Because I don't know if we would be where we are now if we went through the drama of being together through high school. So I'm happy that we waited, and that finally again I had the guts, because I was afraid to ever tell him I liked him again, so finally I had the guts to tell him that I liked him, and then he was like, I like you too, and there we go. So yeah,
I love that. That's a really great story. And I honestly, hearing stories like that helps me believe these stories in these books, because in this book, the main character, okay, wasn't the right guy, but when it came to her original crush, I was thinking, oh, they've known each other for years and he hasn't asked her out, so like I was thinking, why would she be trying? Like, if he liked her, he would have asked her out, but because she wanted to ask her out, and like that's the perfect example. Like, you did it twice and it worked. I just love that.
Well, that's and beautiful. That's why I like these kind of stories too. And that's one of the reasons I started reading, was just like, we just had like a baby, and like I would like read while they took naps, cuddling a baby and stuff. But like, I really was enjoying like the young love, because it just reminded me of how we got started. So like now, like, people sometimes judge like older women who read like high school romances and stuff. But to me, it just reminds me of like that. There was angst, like there was crying, and there was drama, and there was friend dropouts, and there was all kinds of stuff that happened in high school, which is normal. But like, I like reading it because it reminds me, and I can feel that angst in my chest that I felt when I was dealing with drama with him when I read these books, or like other crushes and stuff too. So like, it's like a good reminder. And then like when it turns out okay, and it's going to turn out okay, because it, you're okay, you survived somehow, and then when the characters do too, but it's like, that's what I like sometimes, those like high school things, because it just reminds me of like our start, so I mean, we definitely weren't like, and that's why like with this one being labeled like enemies to lovers, I didn't feel like they were like full enemies. I just felt like he was like distance. It's like some enemies to lovers ones where they're like really mean to them kind of, or like they talk, shit to each other a lot. But I feel like this one was just more like friend dropout to lover.
Yeah. He even said in the book, there was even a line saying he's like, where she says he's not, like when she was talking about switching science partners, where she says he's not my enemy, he's just not my friend.
Yeah.
There was this, which I liked that line a lot. But I like that, there are different reasons why we are drawn to high school books. And yes, we may age them up a little bit, but even high school and college, there's a little bit of a difference, but there's not a huge difference. I like that, you read it because it relates to your love story, and I read them because it relates to past relationships or things that I wish had played out. I think it does bring like what's the word when you are looking back on something, definitely there's like some cathartic working through emotions, but nostalgia.
Yes, there you go. Yeah, for sure.
So I think it really does bug me when people judge people for reading like high school, and the thing is, it's like, it's more of a new adult. It's not like it's YA, it's new adult.
I do have to say that one of the songs on Meagan's Brandy like Spotify list for this book, Us. Have you ever heard that song, Us by Carly Hansen? If you listen to it, I'll send it to you. It's this book. And I have to say, like, whenever I hear this song, I added it to like my workout playlist and stuff. I just picture Demi and Meek every time. So I love that. And I've been craving to listen to that song while I was reading the book. So I will be definitely part of my like, I don't even think it's like, it's more of like a last call type thing. Would be listening to that song probably to like say goodbye to the book. And then my hair of the book, is actually after reading this one, and I'm like, with football season starting up soon, I think I'm gonna have to reread Fumbled Hearts, which is another Meagan Brandy book, and it's football related, and it's high school. That one's really good. It's sweeter, so I don't know how much you're gonna like it, but there are good twists. There's some hints on it, and then you'll find some things out. There's some angst and sadness in it too. But I think I'm going to be reading that sooner than later after reading this one, just because I think it's called to me after finishing this one up.
I gotcha. I know, well, for me, like my most anticipated upcoming read is probably Tate James's Timber. That's what I'm most looking forward to. I mean, I'm just kind of like scratching the days until I get that arc. So right. Some similar suggestions help. I mean, for Fake It Till You Break It, you can try any of Meagan Brandy's other books, and especially her new upcoming book.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening, and we hope you enjoyed our book talk.
Yeah, our book chat. Yeah,
it's fun to just chat about the books that you read, because we don't always get an opportunity, especially considering like a lot of friends that we have around us aren't into the same kind of books that we are. So
yeah, it's nice to hear somebody else that likes the same things, and it's nice to know that there's a whole community out there that is loving the same kind of books and going through the same things that we are when we read these books. So thank you for listening to us and being part of our book club, and we hope that you continue to listen and reach out to us on Instagram, give us book suggestions for our future book clubs.
Yeah, that'd be amazing. Thank you.
Thanks. Bye, y'all. We hope you enjoyed our chat about Meagan Brandy's book, Fake It Until You Make It. She is one of my go-to authors. I loved Brayshaw. I love Fumbled Hearts, which is my hair of the book for Fake It. And she has a new release coming up, Dirty Curve. I'm sure we'll be reading and chatting about her more in the future. Anyways, thanks for listening. Stay tuned, and we'll see you next time.